I'm here with Natalia Hogan. Today's going to be a lot of talking about running, sports. But before we do so, can we talk about your early life?
Yes.
Childhood growing up, I know it shaped you to be the person you are today, which is very incredible. So if we can just start with that, I think it'll be a good backstory.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no worries.
So basically growing up, I had a pretty tough childhood, I guess you would say. It was just me, my mum, my nan, and my brother. I do have a little sister as well, but she didn't come into the picture until I was about 13. So basically my mum has a lot of mental health issues like schizophrenia and drug and alcohol addiction. So, and then my mum and my nan didn't really get along very well, and my nan has her own mental health issues and stuff. So it meant that life at home was very chaotic and there wasn't much stability. So we were in like family refuges, and then me and my brother were in and out of foster care. So
And what age did this start happening?
So basically that's been my entire life.
Forever?
Yeah. So my mum started having mental health issues when she was like in her late teens, and basically started using drugs and alcohol, which made everything a lot worse at a very young age. So, so it meant that for as long as I can remember, things were like really hard in terms of when like we wouldn't know when mum would be home, or like you'd have random people coming through the door that weren't the best types of people to be around, and you didn't know if there was going to be food in the fridge. And I guess I kind of, being the older sister, I went into survival mode, and I would cook dinner for me and my brother, and I would try and get us to school. And I remember we had a meeting with my principal in primary school. I would have been like probably like 9 years old, and he made it like organised a meeting with my mum, and basically my mum was just, and it was about her attendance, and basically my mum was just like, I can't do it. Like I can't get up in the mornings to get them to school, because the only time that she would get up is if she was high, kind of thing. So
At what point did you think this isn't normal?
Well, it's funny you say that. I feel like I always knew it wasn't normal, and I think that I was very embarrassed about our situation. I would try and hide it from my friends and hide it from other people, and I just put this front on that everything was fine and everything was normal. And like even in primary school, like I was school captain in year 6, and like I was still doing things that I guess a normal kid would do. And I think that's how I honestly got through it. I think it's almost like I pretended. And I think that also makes it really hard, because I obviously wasn't getting support from anyone else outside of from any support that I could get, kind of thing. Like some friends, families would help, and I would go stay over at their places, but there's only really so much that they can do. So I think like I always knew it wasn't normal, but I think until I was around like age 11 or 12, that's when things really started to weigh on me, and I started to get, I guess, like quite sad, and I guess you'd say I was depressed, and I was just like, I can't like live like this. Like it's just such a horrible environment, and I just felt like I don't want this for my life. I don't want to be stuck in the same cycle that my mum and my nan is in, and I wanted better for myself and my future family if I have one. But I also just remember feeling so helpless and out of control, because like I was like, what, 11? Like what can you do at that age? And like going back to like that meeting with the principal, he just like looked at me and he was like, it's your responsibility to get you and your brother to school. And I was like
Really?
nine years old. And he had the best intentions. Like it wasn't he definitely meant the best, but it was just
come from a good place.
Yeah, come from a good place, exactly. But it was just like a lot of pressure. But and then I started.
Are you the oldest?
Yeah. So then I started staying with friends because I couldn't be there, and I felt really bad because at that point my brother was still with my mum, so even though we had been in foster care. We got restored with her because it would be like a cycle where she would go to rehab or like get detox and she'd be really good, but then she'd just fall back into her same old habits kind of thing. So I couldn't do it anymore. So I left and I felt really guilty for leaving him. And like a part of me still does. But yeah, so then I started staying with friends and like that was like really lovely that they had like offered their homes for me, but it's still not, I just felt it's such a burden. Like I felt like it's so hard like relying on someone else to like feed you and like look after you when you're not one of theirs kind of thing. And I guess it always felt, it wasn't permanent. Like I was like, say, sleeping with like in my friends' beds with them kind of thing, like girlfriends and stuff or spare beds. And it just, wasn't going to be permanent. So I needed like something more stable. But then I actually met my first boyfriend and his family took me in like one of their own. Like it was the first time that I was given a spare bed, like I was moved into their spare bedroom and we started, like they took me on holidays, they fed me, they look after me. Like it was the first time I experienced what a like nice family home could be like, and that was so special. So at this point I was 14 years old.
Wow.
And that was such a high point in my life. Like I even remember at like say Christmas time, I was like a little kid because Cindy, who was my ex's mum, she loves like Christmas and there'd be all presents under the tree and everything. And I remember just being so excited because for my entire life, we like most of the time we wouldn't get any Christmas presents or Christmas wasn't a happy
Didn't
time.
celebrate it?
No, it wasn't a happy time for us. So that was just amazing. And I remember trying all these different foods that that I hadn't tried before. Either it was because we couldn't afford them or just hadn't had the opportunity to. So like I would always get really excited and they'll still joke, they're still in my life and they'll joke to this day that I get like really protective over my food. That was great. But then it put a lot of strain on our relationship because we were so young, but we were living in the same house and it was almost like we were like a married couple. So then that fell apart and that was such a hard time in my life because it meant that I couldn't be there anymore.
You're kind of losing the family whole aspect of it. Yeah.
So I needed to move out because obviously he was their son and they needed to put him first. Yeah. And I get that. And there was nothing else that they could do and they helped me so much. I then ended up in a youth refuge and that was through the Samaritans. And honestly, like I'm so grateful for services like youth refuges. Like it's amazing, but they're like it's not a nice place.
Yeah, I was going to ask, can you paint me a picture of what that looks like?
So it's like blood stains on the carpet. It's kitchen knives locked up in case you hurt someone or you hurt yourself.
Is it like a share house?
Yeah, so basically they're just like a normal home, but they will have the worker will be in like a separate room that's all locked up and caged up, so they lock themselves in that at night. And then there would be your own individual room and that'll also have a lock and alarm on it at night, so if you go to the toilet they're alerted that
someone's up,
that you're up.
Is this because like some people like I don't know how to say it, meant like
Yeah. So I think like a lot of the youth that go through there are quite troubled. And I think
how do you say
it? Yes. So I definitely felt very out of place there.
Did you feel unsafe?
I wouldn't say I felt unsafe, but it felt I can't even put the word on it. It just felt, I was like so down. Like I was just like, I felt, it was like, it's almost like I felt just like how is this happening? Like it's like I get to have that beautiful family home to now going to like the other extreme, and I was just like, I was there for a month, but it felt like a year. Like time just went by so slowly, and I just.
And you were in this share house for a year?
No, sorry, I was in the youth refuge for a month, but it felt like a year.
Yeah.
Like it just was.
Would you question
so
like
hard.
why me? Like why is this happening to me?
Yeah, I felt like I also had a lot of I guess I was like, am I just not worthy? Like, is it me? Like, am I worthless? Like no one wants me kind of thing. Like, and I don't know like why I really felt like that, because it's obviously like now I reflect and it wasn't my fault.
Not at all.
And it's no one's like as in it's not my ex's parents' fault or anything like that either. But I felt very lonely. I guess that would be, I wasn't scared. I was lonely. I think that would be the best word to describe it. Like it was just so isolating. But the people that worked there were so lovely. And I remember I was like cooking dinner and they were like, no one usually cooks here. Like we don't have much to do, like cook stuff with. And I was like, oh. But basically throughout that time, they were assessing my like living skills. So I was 15 at this point. And basically at that age, you're too old for foster care. Like no foster families really want a teenager, as well as the system is just so like in demand that there's all these younger kids that would go, like you're on the bottom of the priority list in terms of foster placements. So then the other option is you can go into a youth home, but that's very similar almost to like the youth refuge, but it's just more permanent.
And are there workers there? Is that like everyone's just
no? Yeah, so that's workers there. So it's not, you're not living fully independently. But then I got placed in a student accommodation where basically this was life-changing. So at this place I had my own apartment where I had my own I'm getting emotional. I had my own bedroom, bathroom and kitchen. And this was like the first time in my life where I had something that was mine. No one could take it away from me. I had control who come into that place and who left. And like I guess like well, not who left, but you know what I mean. Like I just had control of me leaving if I wanted to. And
is it a workers there, or is that like you've got your own place?
No, you've got your own place. So I was 15 at this point and I was living fully independently. Like I did my grocery shopping, I did my cooking, cleaning. I didn't have a license at that point. So it was like really difficult, and I was really lucky that Cindy and Graham still helped me a lot. Sorry, that's my ex's parents for reference. But it was life-changing. I even got funding and I got to get like my own new furniture. And this was the first time I had like new things. Like I'd never had bought new things like that before. Wow. So it was amazing. And I could create this stable, safe environment for myself. But it wasn't easy. Like I still had so much trauma and healing and everything to do. And at times it still felt lonely and but I just pushed through. I was really lucky that Cindy and Graham also got me to start seeing a psychologist. So I started that when I was 14, and that's been a massive impact on my healing and who I am today as well. Basically I continued going to school. So I went to St. Paul's at Burragul. And I had to get a bus and a train to school every day. So that was took like an hour. So it was a bit of a mission. But yeah, I just kept going, just kept pretending like I was another normal kid. And then I had a caseworker that came with like the being in that building, which would help connect me to services that I could use and everything, which was really handy as well. But it was really hard, like financially. Like I had like barely any money after rent to buy food and everything. So it was definitely a lot of budgeting and getting through week by week.
Did it feel like that was a point in your life where all of them worries and concerns are in the past now? Like, did it feel like you're at the light at the end of the tunnel?
Definitely. I think I was like, finally I have control. Finally I'm in the place that this is like, I've been working so hard since I was, say, 11 years old to get.
Which is ridiculous. Like an 11-year-old having to worry about these things.
To get to where I am. So it was amazing.
And you're 15 now?
Yeah.
When this happened, yeah.
Yeah. And then basically like with school, only like my real close friends knew the situation I was in. I like hadn't really told many other people. There was a lot of, I guess, shame, and I didn't want people to think of me differently or think like, oh, she must be broken or she's done it to herself or something. I don't know. I think there was just a lot of that mindset, and I think I'm not the person just to, like, you probably know, just to be like, oh, like, by the way, like offload kind of thing. But I had the building manager approach me and say that there's a journalist that wants to do a story about the building. It could be a really good opportunity to like raise awareness and raise some funds. Would you be willing to do an interview? And I was like, I was 16 at this point. And I was like, yeah, sure. Like, I'm happy to like help out. Like, this place has changed my life. Like, of course.
Yeah.
Anyways, I sat down, did the interview, and then like she asked a lot of questions about my story, which I was like surprised about. I was like, oh, I thought this was going to be at the building, but I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. And then I think it was like a day or two later, the paper the Newcastle Herald got released, and it was my story on the front cover. And
really?
I was like, whoa.
And they didn't tell you that they were doing that?
I think the building manager was like, oh, it's coming out, like it's being released and you're on the front cover. Because, you know, like with news, like they're just so quick, like they just like go, like just quick turnover. And I was like, oh, wow, really? Okay.
Did you feel exposed?
Very. It was like I had such mixed emotions. I was like, whoa. Like,
that kind of doesn't feel right. Like there's like an ethical line here of like someone's crossed. Do you know who the journalist is? We're not going to say, but...
I can't remember her name, actually.
Tell me after. I feel like normal.
Well, it was massive. Like I definitely had, I was like, whoa, like is everyone talking about me? Like everyone knows about me now? Like there was a lot of mixed emotions, but I think the aftermath of that like was life-changing. So basically I just started getting so much support and beautiful messages from strangers, but then also all my teachers and all these people in my life being like, I had no idea you were going through that. And I think like it just made me realize that people weren't judging me. They weren't being like, oh, she's broken. And I think it made me realize, I obviously knew my story wasn't normal, but I think it made me realize the power of my story that I didn't know. I was just like, oh yeah, I'm just doing what I want to do kind of thing. Like I want to go to school. I want to be where I am today and I want a better life for myself. So that's just what I've been trying to do. And I think from that, like, I think it just shows how important it is to like not to be ashamed about where you've come from and to talk about things with the right people, of course, because it opens up to so much support. Like the school was so lovely. Like the teachers offered to like cook me meals and they put me on a scholarship so I didn't have to worry about paying school fees.
That's great.
Yeah, and like the assistant principal there, he was lovely. He would I'd take like my permission notes into him and he would like sign them like he was like my school dad. Yeah. And he was like, yeah, it's so lovely. And he was like that teacher that everyone was scared of. But then like I would see this like side of him that was really nice. So and like when it come up to like my formal, I had teachers take me out and buy me like formal shoes and like bags and like help with dresses and stuff.
It's lovely.
Oh, it was
What school is this?
beautiful. I know. It was so beautiful. St. Paul's.
Nice. Shout out St. Paul's.
Yeah, go to St. Paul's. I highly recommend that. No, but it was just beautiful. And I think that it just opened up these doors for me where I wasn't like as alone as I was, which was so important. And that opened up a few fundraising opportunities where I spoke at the Bean Counters Ball and spoke at a few different things to raise awareness about the building and Samaritans and all the great things they do. So, yeah, that was I feel like if that story hadn't been released, I don't know what.
So now we love the journalist.
Yeah, we love. Yeah, it's okay.
She's done you solid.
Yeah, she did. I think it forced, like, for the story to come. Not forced, but I guess gave. Like I gave my consent, but it pushed for that story, for my story to come out. And basically I continued living in the building. Graduated high school at St. Paul's, and then I decided to take a gap year and I moved to London and did some traveling around Europe, which was great. I decided to move there because I wanted to do like a proper stint over Europe, but didn't have 20 grand to do it. So worked as a live-in nanny there, and that was an amazing experience. That was great. And then I moved back and started university at Newcastle. So I'm in my last year of physio now. And
that finishes this year or this semester?
This year. So I'm on just placement this year. So I have another 3 5-week blocks. So hopefully I'll be finished like around like 3/4 through the year, probably around like September, October, but it just depends when you get allocated, and then I'll be done.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's
and so sports is a big thing. We met doing CrossFit.
Yes. Yeah.
And you veered from CrossFit into running.
Yes, I have.
And what I think's awesome, and I hope I get this right, but you won your first marathon.
Yes, I did.
So you went in a marathon at the Hunter Valley.
Yeah.
And won it.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Like, people don't even finish marathons. So now you've been on this new stride with just running now.
Yeah.
And do you think when you finish your are you doing it's physio?
Yeah.
When you finish physio, will you go into like specifically trying to do runners?
Well, so yeah, like as you said, sport's always been a massive thing for me. I think even like when I was young, exercise was my outlet. I think that was what I did to escape and get those endorphins and make me and feel good. And I've always liked feeling strong. And I started doing gym pretty young, and then got into CrossFit where we met. So in terms of physio, that definitely, so I always wanted to do something health related. And then I think physio is so important for me because I know how important it is to be able to exercise and do the things that you love without being in pain or optimize it. And I think going forward, with my physio career, I definitely have a passion for sports physio. Whether that's what I'll go into straight away. I think like obviously I love running, and I think when you're interested in something, it's easier to specialize it and specialize in it and be really good at treating it.
Are there a lot of like physios that just do runners?
Well, I think majority of the time, even if you have a sports clinic, it's just a general like musculoskeletal clinic. So you'll get a bit of everything coming in. But so I don't really know anyone in Newcastle that's just running. Like there would be definitely people that are good.
There's a window there.
There's a gap. So I think that there obviously would be some physios that are really good at treating runners, especially if they're runners themselves. But it's not like they just see runners. But that would be pretty cool. So potentially.
Because you're getting a name.
Yeah.
You're sponsored athlete.
And going back to the marathon. So the first marathon I did was for a fundraiser for Samaritans. So
Because your story was on NBN.
Yeah, which was crazy as well.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do something big. I wanted to be able to give back to Samaritans, because I just think what they do and the services that they provide are life-changing. And if I can use my story to help anyone, and I think there's something in my heart that it draws me to wanting to be able to do that. And I think also getting the message across to young people, or even older people that are in the similar situation that I was in, that you're not alone, that there's so many services that can help you. And yeah, it's going to be hard, but there is a way that you can have a better life and get out of that cycle. So I think that's really important for me as well. So I decided to do my first marathon, and it was hard, but I ended up winning it, which was like a massive, massive high. That definitely sparked my love for, I'd always enjoyed running, but I'd never done anything over 10 Ks before I started training for that marathon. And that really sparked my love for it. And I think it just really allows me to use the strength that I have from my, I guess, tough upbringing to really push through past that pain. And I think pushing past that just gives you so much control and power. And I mean, you get it in CrossFit as well a bit, but I think in running you get to this point of such exhaustion. Like I felt it especially in my first 50K race I did, where you think you have nothing left, and then you keep going and you push past it, and it's just so overwhelming.
It's a crazy feeling.
Such a crazy feeling. It's euphoric. And I think that's definitely addicting.
I remember the first time, because I went from running for 30 Ks to 45. I never done a marathon.
Yeah.
And it was just a fun race. And I remember I was on the back, maybe last 7 to go, and I stopped. I had some sour worms. It was a snack. I remember eating them.
Yeah.
And the end, because I was I definitely hit a wall. So I was I smashed them, and it was my body processed it that quick, gave me the energy, and I was on that. Oh, it's just another feeling. It's a complete high.
Yeah.
Complete high.
Definitely. And I think it's so hard to explain as well. I think you have to feel it you have to experience it yourself to really know what you're talking about. But in that 50K race, I remember feeling it, and then I just started crying. But I wasn't upset. I wasn't happy. I wasn't it was just my body was just releasing, and it was crazy. Such a crazy feeling. So I'm finishing this race just crying, and I'm I can't stop. I don't know what's going on. But I think that's
I know the feeling.
Yeah. It was massive release.
It's weird that it's emotional.
I know.
I had it because I was doing that run. Well, mine wasn't a race, with my mate, and we both were high-fiving and I love you, bro. And we were having this moment where it was so emotional. I had it doing base camp with Dad too, but I was more because it wasn't. It was exhausting, but it was more the achievement.
Yes.
We'd been training for it, and it was a 6-month thing, and now we're here. And there were so many times Dad got altitude sickness. We were going to get the flight out, and we were we're walking in, we could see it, and I was this is it. And I was oh, we're about to be there soon, and it was coming over me that I was getting I didn't cry, but I was feeling I'm oh shit, this is getting a lot. What's going on? Get this down. I don't want to feel this.
Start crying about it. Well, the tears come out for me. So I remember there's even she was good job, and I was thanks. I was I can't stop crying. I don't know why, and she was just okay.
I remember you come back to CrossFit. I thought you were only there for a week, and you're fuck this, I'm running. But you're I won. I think I found my thing.
Yeah.
I think everyone was you've won a fucking marathon. I think you have. And then it was not long after, we just barely seen you.
Yeah,
you
I was
bye.
Yeah. I still love CrossFit. It's just so hard to do with a high running volume. I just feel it's hard to not get injured. But gym's still so important for me.
Yeah.
So definitely good to still get that in, but CrossFit's definitely a bit too hard on the body with marathon training.
Yeah. So you got any races coming up?
I have a half coming up, so I'm going to try and get a half marathon PB. So that'll be in June.
And what time will that be?
I'm hoping for a sub 90 minute. So
what's your PB?
1:31.
Okay.
So like
Just,
a minute.
Yeah.
So hopefully I can get that. And then I'm doing Sydney Marathon, which is going to be the first year it's a world major, which is going to be cool. And Kapoji, the world record holder, is running it as well, which has just been announced, which is going to be cool. I mean, I probably won't get to see him because he'll be so far ahead, but I'll run with him. Yeah. So that'll be in August. So I'm going to try and go for a marathon PB in that, of course. And then, that's it for the first half of the year. Oh, I guess August is in the second half, but then I have something big coming up towards the end of the year, which is going to be a fundraiser. So all the details around that haven't been released yet, but I'm very...
We'll give all your socials a plug at the end.
Yeah.
And people got to follow the journey for the big news.
Exactly. You'll find out.
When you're going for these like PBs in these long runs, how important is, and I want to know, do you write your own, but how important is the program?
Yeah. So programming is so important. And I feel like to anyone who is starting out running, or even you've done a bit, I think like you need to have a plan. I think if you're, you need to set out your runs each week, have a set run, like an interval run, an easy run, and a long run. I feel like are the fundamentals, and then you can build from that. But
hill runs?
Hill runs, yeah. I mean, it depends if your course that you're trying to, that you're doing has elevation. Like it can definitely be helpful in a power component, but it's not necessary if you're doing a flat course, but can definitely help. Just depends what your like weak points are, I guess.
Yeah.
And I think having a plan and programming allows you to be able to gradually build your Ks and have it set out so you can start getting your race efforts in your long runs, or in your interval runs, making sure that you're doing things that are specific to, say, like threshold running, or like building your VO2 max and all that kind of stuff. While if you're like, oh, I'm just going to do this run, or I'm just going to do this run, it doesn't give you the opportunity to be able to lay that out and plan it out. And I think it's really good as well for in terms of being compliant as well, and like ticking it off. Like I think that really helps too. So with programming, for me, I had been doing it by myself, or using like random programs that friends had bought from people that aren't like specific to you. But then I started recently getting coached, which has been amazing. So I get coached by a guy who has like I think his PB in a marathon is like 2 hours 26 or something like that.
Whoa.
Like quick. But I've learnt so much from him.
How old is he?
Good question. I think he's like in his mid-30s around then. Yeah, he's not super young, but not super old kind of thing. But he, I think has really like highlighted, like I've been able to see my weak points of what I need to work on, and also just I put a lot of pressure on myself. I guess this is a good thing as well for following a program, is if sometimes you feel like, oh, I'm not doing enough, or then you do, like you overdo it and then you get injured, or you can't train well the next week, or you feel, or sometimes maybe you should be doing more. And I think that just really lays out.
You to trust in the program.
Exactly. So I think that's really important, and just being consistent, like not just say doing 50 Ks one week and then 20 Ks the next, and then
that's me.
Yeah, I know. This is to you, Jye.
Yeah. I've got to learn. I'm going to get you to write me a program.
Yeah.
I caught up with Russ today.
Yeah.
And he's going, you shouldn't write your own programs because you're only writing things you want to do.
Exactly.
Or you'll go Goggins and write all the things that you just need to do because you suck at it.
Yeah.
And then you just cook yourself. He's like, you need someone to write it, and also like the progression of it.
Yes, definitely. And also like you only know what you know. Like I feel like getting that external like input is so helpful, especially if they know a lot about running and you can talk to them. Like, I'm not saying that you need to get your own, like everyone needs to get their own coach individually, because I know that like that costs money. But even getting those proper like marathon programs that are very structured and have purpose week for week kind of thing, and you're gradually increasing your long runs is super important.
I think it's important just for the not doing an injury. Like just if you want to stay consistent at it.
Yeah.
Because like you come in too hard, you feel good, then you start doing more Ks because you want to.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden you've got an injury, then you're off for 3 months.
Yes. And it's like you could have been, maybe you were doing less week after week, but you've been consistent and you didn't have to have those 3 months off kind of thing. And I think a lot of the time people feel like start to get a little bit of a niggle and they're like, oh, it's not that bad. This is you. I'm going to go for a 30K run. And then they're absolutely cooked.
Yeah. And I haven't ran since.
Yeah. Well, and then I'm guilty. Like I can be like that sometimes. Like I did a 5K effort and I said to my coach, I was like, I'm feeling really good. Like I want to do my long run still tomorrow. And he was like, no. And I was like, damn it. I was
That's
like,
good.
Yes.
That's so good.
So good, because I would have done that long run and the next day I just went for like a shorter run and I was like, wow, I actually feel like crap. If I got up and went for my long run, I would have been either got an injury or like my next week of training would have been like not good quality kind of thing. So I think having
that's really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I never thought I'd say that, but that's,
I know. He's like, it's good because he's so like direct too. And that's what I need. I don't need someone to be like, oh, you could, but I just need someone to be like, no.
I think the problem is, especially for me, is where's the line between it's a niggle and harden up and do it, or this is going to be an injury? Like, you don't know.
No, and that is the hard thing. And I think like sometimes you will have a little bit of a niggle and you'll still do your run and then the next day you're fine. And I think that's what gives you that false sense of confidence when it happens again. You're like, oh, I was fine.
Pushed through this.
I was fine last time, so I'm just going to do it again. So I think it's so hard. And I think it's knowing your body and being in touch with your body and knowing what's something that could potentially get worse and what's something you can push through. But I've definitely struggled with that. And I think I've also like I've been running for nearly 2 years now. And I think like there's so many variables as well. Like there's your fueling, like making sure you're eating enough, because you don't realize how much you're expending. Like I think like people underestimate how much food you need to eat to replace what you're burning, and being in a like calorie deficit is massive to injury as well.
Really?
Yeah, massive, because then you're not recovering properly. So if you're in a calorie deficit, you're not going to recover, then you're running, then your body won't repair as well. And then you can also get stress fractures and REDS, which is like energy deficiency syndrome.
Because I feel like my mind goes to like, oh, you're just going to just feel more flat.
Yeah, no, because that feeling of flat isn't what your body's feeling inside as well. So it's like everything just doesn't repair as well. And yeah, stress fractures are a massive thing if you're not feeling correctly. And that's another big thing in running. You don't want a stress fracture because that sucks.
Definitely.
Yes. So
just you'll got your half marathon, then you got your full marathon, and you want to go for PBs in both. Are you following the same program, or do you have a program for the shorter one and then a different program going into the marathon?
So my coach does my program, like he gives me my program week by week. So he'll message me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he'll message me and be like, he knows what I have coming up. But he'll message me, how you feeling? How did you take the volume, intensity, everything this week? I'll give him a RPE, which is like rated perceived exertion after each session. So he can see that if I'm like really struggling with what he's giving me and it's going to be like it's too much, or he can see that, oh, she's doing okay with that. So we'll up either the volume or intensity the next week. In terms of like a lot of the thing that changes is my interval runs and like threshold runs. So he'll make those really specific to what I'm doing. So because I was doing I've been recently doing like 5K, like trying to get a 5K PB, just for something to do because I can't sit still and need something to aim for. And so I was doing, in my interval sessions, I was doing a lot at 5K pace. So it was fast stuff. So like 3:45 kind of pace. But now I'll be going into half marathon training. It'll go to more the half marathon pace, like 4:10, 4:15.
And that will hit your PB?
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
So focusing a lot around that. But yeah, he changes it up. So, which is good because some of the sessions on a Tuesday, because I always do my intervals on a Tuesday, some of the sessions I've been doing have been absolutely brutal. And I was like, I would never, ever do that if I wasn't getting told to do that. Because like I run with Flyers, which is like a running club in Newcastle, and usually I just do what everyone else is doing kind of thing and like just do that. And then they've been joining in on like my sessions and they're like, whoa, this is hard. And I was like, I know, but it's good. Like it's like one of those sessions you feel and you're like, wow. Like
when they're hard, is your heart rate going up?
Yeah, like really high. Like it's like.
Are you only doing that for short periods of time? Like how much are you paying attention to your heart rate through your runs?
Yeah, so sometimes he'll prescribe like a pace that I need to try and stick to.
It doesn't matter what your heart rate is?
It doesn't matter what my heart rate is. If your heart rate's getting really high, it's more like VO2 max training.
Mm-hmm. And how would you improve that?
So for VO2 max, you would want to try and be getting your heart rate up to like a max heart rate. So like quite high. So that would be, I guess, like everyone's different. So you'd be running quite fast for a like longer period of time, but then heart rate can change so much as well. But say you'll have like a anaerobic threshold pace. So where what pace that you can run at before you switch from aerobic to anaerobic,
which is fats to muscle. Or is this burning fats to like
fats to like carbs and then like so that it's like the different so when you're using your aerobic system, it's like all that like zone 2 training kind of thing. You're using a different system to your anaerobic system, but your anaerobic is where you then you can only do that for a short period of time because then you go lactic. So it's the energy system, like the ATP would turn into like the lactic that goes into your blood and then you get heavy legs kind of thing. So that's like training at that, which will be a slower pace. So your heart rate shouldn't be as high, but eventually it will get high, especially once you go lactic, if that makes sense. So in terms of how long I'm like the variant, like with the last session I did was a 12-minute effort. So 2 12-minute efforts with 6 by 1 minute on, 1 minute off in the middle. So that was really hard and it was continuous. So
you do like a 12-minute all-out max.
Well, it was at a 4-minute pace. Okay. So that's like around my threshold pace where you switch from the anaerobic.
And are you doing a track or are you just going?
Well, so normally we'd do track, but that session we did along the foreshore because it was like going to be so many laps.
And then you do 6 1 minute on and then with a 1 minute rest.
Yeah. So it was a 1 minute like active recovery. So we didn't stop running the entire time and then did another 12-minute on at around a 4-minute pace.
And with the 1 minute on, 1 minute off, are you sprinting?
Well, so that's where it then goes from pace to how you're feeling. So that's like 1 minute hard. So and this is where pacing comes into it a lot as well, because if you sprint that as fast as you can,
you're cooked.
You're not then going to be able to then run a minute on, like a minute recovery and then go again.
Yeah.
So that's where it really like is teaching you how to pace yourself.
But would this help you more in like a 15K run, a race, as opposed to like a marathon?
So this is going around more faster stuff because I was doing like that 5K and like 10K. This is like all more around that pace. But then having a high VO2 max or improving your threshold pace is also going to help with your marathon as well. So it still helps with it, but when you're going into marathon training, it'll be more like mile efforts. So running a mile at a pace that's faster than your marathon goal, and you might do that 6 times and have like a 90-second rest in between.
Would you ever do like a K? You might go in and I'm going to do like 10 1Ks with rest and then like get that time in and then just build up to like 24, 42 of them. So you're never running, you're having breaks each one, but you're doing fast ones for the same distance you're going to run.
So
if you're going to go to like a marathon, you could just like build up real quick kilometers till you get to like 42 and just having breaks between them. Well, you wouldn't do that.
Well, then you'd have a risk of going into your anaerobic system, and it's hard. So when you're running a marathon, you really want to be staying in that aerobic system where you're not getting that lactic and your heart rate's not getting too high, because once you get over that threshold, it's hard to come back. So if you're then getting over that threshold and then stopping and then going again, you're going to not be it's not going to be as efficient, because you're going to, that time that you're recovering is just going to be getting that heart rate back down and like lactate like flush through kind of thing. And then
I'd love to see a program for how they like the world record marathon, because what are they doing, like 2 hours?
Yeah,
203 or something the record is?
Yeah, it's crazy. But they also run so many Ks a week. Like they run like 250 Ks a week.
Do they?
Yeah, some of them. Like insane.
All the time?
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, probably not all the time.
Like
they'd have like an off season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
that would be like
when they're on.
Yeah.
What?
Like, yeah. It's crazy. But yeah, there's so much into it. But I think with a marathon, it almost should be, you should be able to run it at the start. It should be an easy pace. It shouldn't get hard until you're around 32 Ks in. Like the last 10 Ks of the marathon is always the hardest. But your heart rate should be like pretty low for most of it.
Yeah, right.
But for me, I get a pretty high heart rate, especially in a race, because I feel like
the
adrenaline and everything. So my heart rate will actually higher before, like at the start, and then it will drop.
Me too. When I'm just running around the lake. But me too. I feel like, because when I start, I'm all like, yep, this is it. I'm going to fucking get a good time, and I'm out running.
Yeah.
And then like 5Ks in, I'm like, oh, that thought's gone, and I'm just in the run, and I just settle into it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like that would be the case with a lot of people. And I think heart rate can be hard to use, because sometimes your heart rate's a bit higher and sometimes it's lower. But I think just being able to run, like when you're doing easy runs and stuff, and being able to have a conversation and not be like really gassed out kind of thing, I think that's just the best indicator.
So I remember hearing somewhere it was like really important to keep your heart rate low. Don't go too high, all this stuff. And then it all got in my head, and I started running so much slower because I'm like, got to keep the heart rate down low.
Yeah.
I was running at an awkward pace that didn't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
I feel like fucking niggles just come out and everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah. Like all the...
Yeah. When I'm just running for just the pace that feels good, and I don't care what my heart's doing. If it's up, it's because I'm unfit. That was always in my mind. If it's down, it's because I'm fit.
Yeah.
I always felt better, but
Yeah.
Because I'm a bit lanky, like my legs are probably moving at a better, more comfortable.
Yeah. And
I have no idea.
there's definitely like more of a biomechanical like efficiency when you're running like a little bit faster. Like if your form's going out when you're running slower and maybe you're leaning back a little bit, or you haven't got as an efficient like cycling kind of run style. I definitely feel like I went through a similar stage where I was like, oh, like everyone's talking about zone 2. I need to run slower. I'm running too fast all the time. It's going to affect my training. And I feel like I got like, I'm not saying that you shouldn't do any zone 2 running or training. But I find my heart rate is naturally a bit higher. And if I just go off how I'm breathing is way better for my fitness, because I feel like I then get slower doing a lot of stuff focusing around my heart rate. And watches can be so inaccurate and everything as well, and there's that component. So I think that it is important to do high intensity stuff. Like there's the 80-20 rule where you do 20% of high intensity and 80 at an easier pace or whatever. But I think it's also important to go off feel. Like I think I
reckon that's the most important.
Yeah, definitely.
I just make movies, so I can't give advice on this. But
yeah,
I feel like
like I have like a bit of an understanding, but there's still so much. There's so much to it as well, and I think everyone's different as well. Like say for me, I have a lower volume than a lot of runners, but that's because I also prioritize
like weekly volume.
Yeah, because I prioritize the gym a lot. Like, I think it's really important for me to have the gym. So, and that also really impacts my relationship with running as well. I think if I was like, I need to stop going to the gym as much, so then that way I can increase my volume, because it's too hard on my body to do a lot of gym and more, like a lot of running. Obviously, when I go into a marathon build, I will increase my running volume. But I think if I took out that gym, then my relationship with running would be like negatively impacted, because gym and being strong is really important for me, and it's obviously being a physio as well. I know how important it is for longevity as well as injury risk and everything, like reducing injury risk. And if you're strong and your muscles, like you're producing power while you're running, is obviously going to help you as well. And there's a whole thing about storing more carbs, and there's so much that. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So I think that. How was I going?
They go hand in hand. It's important for you to keep your gym.
Yes, that's right. But while other people might, do more volume. That was strength training's super important for me. So everyone, that's what I was saying. Everyone's different. So some people might do better with a high volume, while others might do better with a lower volume and have the same fitness and same outcomes. Because there's so much in terms of obviously genetics and like your body composition and all that kind of stuff as well. I think a lot of people, there's also about, you shouldn't have too much muscle because then you're going to be like heavier and everything like that, and like of how much you should, like obviously being light is important, like is better for a runner, but then it's also better to be strong and healthy as well, because otherwise you then have risk of injury. So it's like weighing that up and getting that balance as well. But I definitely think that it's better to have more muscle and be stronger than be really light.
Yeah. It's funny about that balance you're saying too, because I reckon the best I've ever felt, that's probably a big statement, but the best I've felt with weights, I was doing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off, Thursday, Friday, the weekend off. But the days I was on, I'd do 2 sessions.
Yeah,
so I'd do like weights Monday morning, Monday night. So I'd done 4 sessions by Wednesday. I mean 2 days.
Yeah.
Have a day off, do another 4, then have 2 days off. So I was actually doing 8 sessions a week, which normally I only do 5. But I was having 3 days off when normally I only have 2. So I was like, and I just felt my body responded really good to it.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you, when so you say the last 10Ks are the hardest, and I know that feeling.
Yeah.
Because all runs feel hard for me.
Yeah.
No. But do you have something in your head that, and whether it comes from like your early life or whatever, but do you have something in your head that when it really gets tough, you play some type of like scene in your head, or you have that internal dialogue come through? Like, what pushes you through them barriers later in the runs?
Yeah, I think mindset and your mentality in the race is massive, especially when it gets to that point where you're going to have to push, like every part of your body is screaming at you to stop. I think honestly for me, it's different every time, but I talk to myself a lot, and there's a lot of like, it's a lot of the time it's, if I feel that like that sense of doubt, or that like, I don't know if I can do this creeping in, I just push it down as fast as I can, and I'll be like, no, you can do this, like keep pushing, like you've worked so hard for this. And I think I try and think of things that reaffirm that I can do this, whether it's think back to like a really good training run, or I go, no, like think back to like other races, and how good that makes you feel, and that sense of accomplishment. Do you have to remind yourself to do that? So if that voice comes up that's going, oh, this is I don't know if we can make it today, or that, do you got to be like, what's my go-to? And then remind, or do you just naturally just start going, fuck this, we done this last time, we can do it? Is it natural? I feel like it's natural. I think like maybe it's come from like when I was younger, and that's just kind of a skill that I've like developed. But there's definitely, I get hard on myself as well, which I like sometimes borderline abuse myself. I'm like, don't be a pussy. Like, like just get it done. Like you can, like, I'll be like, I'm not like just inside my head, I'm just being like, I'm just, I guess that hard coach. In that moment though, I'm not hard on myself like all the time, but just to push through that pain, like I'll just be like really drilling down in my head, or I'll just be like, I'll repeat something over and over and I'll be like, just keep doing, just keep pushing it, just keep pushing, like, or like I'll even be like, yeah, like just like, you can do this, like that positive.
Do you feel it's your mind telling your body what to do, or do you feel like it's your mind fighting your mind?
Oh, 100% your mind fighting your mind.
Mind fighting your mind.
Yeah. Obviously your body is telling you that it's exhausted and it's sore, but I think in running and in a lot of things, it's your mind that gets in the way. And I think that that's been really reaffirmed when, say when I did that 50K trail race and it was just so technical and so hilly and so hot. I kept running out of water. I was so thirsty, and I thought my body was telling me that it was done, like cramping and everything, felt so like I had nothing left. And then my mindset just went really like ham. And I remember that time I was repeating myself like, just keep going, and I think I said that to myself like probably like 1,000 times. Like,
really?
Just kept repeating, and it was distracting myself from the pain. And I pushed past, and then I went through and I got a second wind. And then I had a chick that was I think I was in fifth place. And then I had and that was just such a rough race. But then this lady,
poor you, you're in fifth place.
Oh, I had to grind for it. I had like.
Did you win? Is that what you come?
No, so then I had this lady who was just in front of me, and I was like in a world of hurt, but I just like kept trying to tail her. I was like, just stick on her, just stay on her, because I knew that if I tried to overtake her, it was just going to be like a battle of trying to push in front, and I would have ended up burning out. So I just stayed behind her for so long, and then and like it was going through that pain or whatever, and then I just got a second wind overtook her, and then she would like ended up being so far behind.
Yeah.
It
crushes them.
Yeah. So I think then like realizing, like I was like, my body was telling me that it was done, but I pushed past that mentally, and I think that then just shows that it's not really your body, it was my mind. Because if my body was done, how could I was fine.
Have you done a fast?
Have I done a fast?
Yeah.
Like, as in done it fasted?
No, like have you done a fast?
What do you mean?
Like in January I just done a 5-day fast.
Oh, right. Yeah, no, I haven't.
And it's that feeling for me.
Yeah,
because
okay.
your body wants food, and your mind's like, you'll get it when I'm going to tell you can get it.
Yeah.
And it separates your body and your mind. And and then when you get like 3-4 days in and you're going, I don't actually need it. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Like, I was still going to the gym.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm so fine.
Yeah. And I think that like there's such a big mental component to a lot of things, like even without like separating from exercise, even with like your mood and everything. And I think that if you can have that internal dialogue to really like shift that and tell yourself, like train your mind.
It's everything.
Yeah. 100%. Like it is the biggest driver, I think, in your life. Definitely mindset's massive. So if you can build that skill, and I think like running or doing something that's hard is a great way to be able to build it and work on it, and really develop it.
I think all sports.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All sports, like just gym straight away. I think it's because it's instant.
Yeah.
Like if you go and do weights and there's 10 reps and you do 9 and you're fucked and you do one more.
Yeah.
You've already got that win straight away.
100%.
When if it's like reading a book, it might take like, finish the book. It might take hours.
Yeah.
So it's because it's so instant.
Yeah, definitely. And I think even like outside of I think it's just like doing anything that initially your mind doesn't want you to do, whether it's getting up, getting up early out of bed, whether it's like doing like a public speaking thing, going on a podcast. You know what I mean? Like I think a lot of people, they're like, oh, my mind's telling me that I don't want to do that, or trying something new, or just something that's out of their comfort zone. I think pushing through that and doing it, that is you're winning. You're beating yourself, like in a good way, like in that moment, like, and that's
it's you versus you.
Yeah. And I think that's something that I've always tried to do, is where if something comes up or I'm like, oh, like, as long as it's like obviously not something that's going to be harmful, like if it's something that's beneficial but is scary, then I think that like that's telling you to, like, that's a sign that you should do it. Like there's like a line and I think like if it makes you nervous, it's probably worth it. And I think that's massive.
That was a big reason why I started skydiving.
Yeah,
because I was just like
perfect example.
I don't know if it's like a fear of heights, but I was like it was like scary.
Yeah.
So I was like, I have to do it now.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Because I hate the idea of like a fear beating me. Like I didn't do that because I was scared.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah, I'm the same. Like I was at the pump track at Redhead with the girls the other day. We were on skateboards, and it's a pretty deep pump track. Like it's not like the big drops. And I was there and I was like, far out, I'm probably going to break my ankle, but I could feel myself getting nervous. And I was like, no, I have to do it now. Like if I leave this place and I haven't done it, I'm going to feel like disappointed in myself, because I think that's letting your mind win. And I was fine. I did it and I could do it. And then you feel great. And you have the power.
Yeah. Yeah. Like there was a specific run that fucked me once, and since then, if I say I'm going to do the run, I just try to do the run, because this specific run, which I'll tell you, I've just ruined it. But I was running and I'm like, I'll run around to the other side of the lake and back, and it was like 8Ks or something. And I've ran and I've probably done like 7.5. I could see the spot where I had in my head I was going to run. I've turned around and started running back, and I've got back 3Ks and I've went, I didn't actually hit the point.
Yeah.
And I went, fuck. And I'm like, it's all right. Just, you'll be right. I'm like, it's something. I don't even know what it was. Went, go back now to that point.
Yeah.
So then I've ended up doing like an extra 6Ks on top of the run, because I just had to run back an extra 300 meters to the point that I had in my head. But I'm like, just because I'm like, you said you're going to do it. Why are you not doing it?
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's another big thing where so many people say they're going to do things and they don't do them, and they're letting themselves down. Like I know that like it can be hard and sometimes things don't work out and you don't have control. But I think if you do say you're going to do something and you have the power to do it, then do it. Like you only live once, and yeah. I think it's so important. But I'm the same. Like even with ice baths, when you're like, okay, I'm going to do 2 minutes, and then you're in there and you're like, oh my gosh, it's been 30 seconds and I'm dying. But then like you push past, and if you get to that point, then you get that. I'm pretty sure you get like a dopamine hit or something like that. Yeah.
I had one beyond that the other day. I know he passed out.
Oh really? What happened?
Yeah. I've been on the infrared one heaps after we had that conversation. I've been loving it. But what I've been doing to save time is I'll heat it up. I'll jump in the hot rocks and do cook myself in that to the point where I'm like, I'm going to get out now.
Yeah.
And then I'll get out and run straight into that.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, and then I can do 15, but the 15 feels like doing 40 to 50 minutes in that way. Because, normally you can sit in there heaps longer.
Yeah, yeah.
Feels heaps harder. So this is after a stupid cardio workout. Done this. I'm sitting in there and I was cooking in that infrared.
Yeah.
And then I've just done 5 in the ice bath. And I'm like, I'll leave on this because I had to go somewhere. I didn't want to start sweating again.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was just sitting there, which always do 5, and it was no issue. And I got out and I was like, oh, I'm shaking, and that's all good. And I had the towel around me. I walked down the stairs and I went a bit weird, and I stood up and went, saying something's not right.
Yeah.
I walked through the gym and someone was trying to chat to me, and I just waved and kept walking. I'm thinking, fuck, I don't feel good. And I've gone in, I've tried to put my pants on, and I'm like falling, like as I was bending over, I was like falling over. I had to hold myself up. I went, shit, I've sat down, and the room was just spinning and spinning and spinning, and I'm going, I've got to go get someone, because I thought I was going to pass out. I've never had it that bad. I always get like a light head spin, like, oh, fuck. But it was like next level,
Yeah, that's crazy. Definitely. You sure you weren't just really dehydrated?
Yeah, maybe. Is that a thing?
It was the dopamine.
Is that a thing from ice baths?
Yeah, well, because it's also like your blood pressure changes quickly as well.
That's probably it is. Sandra was in the sauna. She was leaving. She's like, you got high blood pressure or not? How do I know that?
But yeah, it could just like the change low to high definitely makes it easy. But we'll say it was dopamine.
Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't good. Wasn't good.
Yeah, no, I've had a few moments like that because we have an ice bath at home, and my partner Mitch, he makes it so cold, and he thinks it's not cold enough, and it's like currently at 2 degrees.
Oh, hectic.
And it kills me, and I definitely feel a bit dizzy sometimes after that.
How often are you doing it?
Try to do it a couple of times a week.
Do you ever do it before a run?
No, I always do it after.
Have you seen all this stuff coming out with like you do the ice bath then train?
Really? No, I haven't, because I know that you're not supposed to. Well, like evidence suggests that you're not supposed to do it around strength training because it can like affect the cells.
Well, these people doing it before strength training.
Before strength training, like how
Look
soon
it up.
before?
Like they'll do it, jump out, start doing weights, and it's something about trying to like doing weights during that state just increases testosterone through the roof.
Wow, that's interesting. I'll have to look it up. Yeah, I feel like there's so much stuff around.
I feel like you're just going to do an injury. Like it's like, don't you warm up for a reason? Yeah. Let's do the opposite.
Yeah, literally. Let's make our muscles as cold as they can, and then
go and lift some weights.
Yeah, that's intense. I guess like if your cortisol and everything's increased, but surely that wouldn't have that much of an impact. But maybe it does.
I was chatting to a guy in the ice bath the other day about it. Because I was like, oh, yeah, you just coming up for recovery or you just train? He goes, no, I'm about to. And I was like, what? And he told me, and then I looked it up online and everyone's doing it.
Wow.
Well, not everyone, but heaps of people doing it.
There's some new stuff, yeah.
It's a big thing.
Wow. Because there's been so much for so long about don't do it like 2 to 3 hours before or after. There you go.
I think you Google everything. You know?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I feel like they're like things like that. I feel like any research with humans is so hard to like measure because everyone's different. I honestly feel like if you feel better doing it, another thing, power of the mind, if you placebo effect, like if that makes you feel like you're getting stronger and you feel like that's more beneficial for you, do it. Like I feel like that can have a massive impact on your, like obviously there's science behind like the muscle regeneration and stuff like that, but I think if you're feeling better doing it, then there's going to be better effects around that as well. So a lot of time when people ask like we'll say whether you should be doing something or not, unless there's like hard evidence against why you shouldn't, then it's like go for it. Yeah, especially because like in physio with manual therapy there's a lot of theories around manual therapy, and they think that possibly it's just a placebo effect and it's just like the mind that you feel good from it, and that then makes the muscles feel better. But there's quite a few theories and stuff, but like cupping and all that, there's not really much evidence against that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but for some people it works a treat. Same with needling and everything, which is super interesting. I think like moving forward, I feel like there's going to be so much stuff that comes out about how much the mind drives the body. Like I think like it has a massive influence on a lot of things that we don't realize, like more than we think as well, which is really interesting.
Central nervous system.
Massive. Yeah. It's cool.
Yeah. I feel like you know. Like if like if something's doing good or something's not. I feel like it's a thing. Like you see these people that they stress about all the little things and then they die of, and it's because of stress anyway. So it's like you're doing all these things to like live longer, and it's like you're doing like this. You just create like a negative feedback loop, and it doesn't help you.
Around all of it like impacts you so much. Definitely.
And there's people like overseas. Like I've seen them travel in some of these countries. They're just smoking, drinking, just eating fucking shit. They're not worried about calories and macros and micros and none of that stuff.
Yeah.
And they're like 90 years of age mowing lawns and just hanging out. And it's like, what the hell?
Yeah, I know. It's
but
crazy.
They're not stressed about it.
No. Yes, definitely. Yeah, I think stress is massive. And I think moving forward as well, like I think that a lot of people don't have as much like resilience. And I think that that's going to be a massive thing in terms of mental health and what that relate with anxiety, and that'll be a big driver to like chronic pain and all that stuff as well. Hopefully not. Like hopefully you can get on top of it. But I think like even social media has a big effect on that and everything as well. And there's just so much information and so much misinformation that people are like, oh, I can't do this. Oh, I can't do this. Oh, I need to do this. And it's like so much like information overload.
There's going to be a relapse, I reckon, because everyone's getting information from like AI, and I can just see like they're going to put out all this information that's created from AI, not created from like facts, and then people are going to be running off that for so long that then it's going to be putting itself out again.
Yeah.
And it's going to create this weird loop of like what's truthful, we don't know anymore.
Yeah, definitely.
We're going to like lose a lot of that in that process.
Oh, 100%. And I think even in the medical world, like there's a lot of things that we don't around the human body that we don't know why it happens or what causes it and stuff like that. Like even with manual therapy, there's so many theories around like 3 or 4 theories around why it works, but we don't know why. And then a lot of things are actually being theories that we thought were the reason why things may happen are actually being disproved. So it's like the medical like world's going backwards. So it's like the more that like medical equipment and medical research and stuff like that is advancing, the more we're finding out that we actually don't know instead of like finding out more. So I think there's also going to be even that, which is going to impact like the information that's being put out there, because if people don't know why things are happening, it can be really hard to make sense of stuff, like especially in terms of neurological disorders and everything. Like there's such a big gap in that area, as well as many others, I'm sure. But that's just what I've been like, I guess, exposed to in physio, because like we do neurological physio as part of the degree, and they don't know why most neurological diseases happen. So yeah, that's crazy, I think. And they make such a big impact on people's lives. Like just for example, even like MS, like if you live in a cooler climate, you have a higher risk of getting MS. So they think it might be related to like a vitamin D deficiency. So people in like say living in Tasmania, there's a higher rate of MS in Tasmania than there is to Queensland, but then Indigenous peoples don't get MS. So then the genetic component as well. And it's so interesting, but they don't know, like there's just so much they don't know, and that's just one like condition kind of thing. So yeah, it's definitely interesting.
Yeah, it's hectic. So you're going to finish uni soon? Yes. If anyone's listening and they're going to preempt getting a physio in the future, do you want to just say your socials or whatever it is, and people can stay in touch?
Yeah, so my Instagram's Natalia S. Hogan, S for my middle name, Shaoli, which is a random middle name.
And you're going to be releasing some news soon?
Yes, I will be releasing some news around the fundraiser that I'll be doing, which is I'm hoping it's going to be massive. Like I'm really excited for it, and also nervous. Like it's going to be the biggest.
It'll be huge.
It's going to be the biggest like challenge I've put myself through,
but it's going to be like nationwide huge. So if you this isn't just like it's big. Like
it's going to be big. Yeah. So
and is it going to be where will it take place?
Well, we're still confirming all details around it. So potentially here in Newcastle, Sydney, still just trying to figure it all out. But I'll release all that and keep everyone updated once it's all good to go. So yeah, working behind the scenes on that, which is exciting.
Fucking nice.
Yeah, so hopefully can make a big difference and make a big impact in the world of homelessness. And I think that especially going into like the cost of living issues that we are having at the moment, like I think that the issue of homelessness is only going to get worse. So I think trying to get people to be out of their bubble and realize how it's not just people that you see that are on the street that are homeless. Homelessness can look like so many, it can look so many different ways, and the people that may be walking the street that you'd have no idea that they're homeless. Like they might be living with friends, or they might be staying at one of like the services that they have, and you would have no idea. So yeah, I think that I'm excited to hopefully make an impact in that area.
You will. You already are. Thanks for sharing your story.
No worries. Thanks for having me on here. It's been great. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Nat.
Thanks, Jye.